Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here at Soulprint. So let's take a look, shall we, and see how 45 get over the weekend. Um, I don't think he did so well. So I'm gonna just step into that energy and see what was going on and what wasn't. The No Kings protest, I think they said there was like 7 million people who attended. So that's amazing. And I believe that the numbers are going to keep increasing because this is not like a one off, right? There's going to be another one and another one and another one. Um, so let's just take a peek. Oh, before I go there, don't forget on Wednesday's video, I'm going to be talking with Kathy Beal about what's going on astrologically. And so that's going to be really super interesting. And of course, don't forget to put your questions in the comment section below for Pendulum Friday. Thank you very, very much for being here, each and every one of you. I'm very grateful for the ongoing support. You know, there's so many options you have that when you choose to spend some time with me, um, I'm very grateful and it's very humbling. All right, Trump, how do you do? How is he doing? So he spent I guess that evening posting things to his social media account, like subtle things like him in a fighter jet with a crown on his head, bombing cities. Okay, that was his response. So I don't think that he handled it particularly well. I think that, as we know, he's a narcissist and he needs to be admired. He needs to be, recognized. Well, he was recognized, but I just don't think it's exactly kind of the way he wanted to be recognized. So, let's step into it, shall we? Here we go. Okay, the anger, the rage is through the roof. I often say that he sort of lives in his own bubble these days, right? He doesn't take in anything that isn't what he wants to hear, basically. Well, this penetrated the bubble. So he was very angry. He's very, very upset. He wants to retaliate, but in some ways he can't find a focus to retaliate because everyone's mad at him. I mean, when you have red states protesting, um, that sends kind of a message. I wish the sort of the media would have focused not on big cities like New York and Atlanta and Los Angeles, etc., even Washington. It would have been really cool to see what kind of size and protests were going on in Kentucky, in Georgia, for example, because I think that that's where he's losing support, frankly, that he can't afford to lose. And the polls are coming in, even the extreme rightest of the right polls has him underwater. Um, so he's got all of this sort of anti admiration stuff coming at him, and it's almost put him in a space where he doesn't know where to vent. And listen, this is what they're showing me, and I'm not going to get the name of the gun right, so just I live in Canada, we don't do guns out here, but one of those guns where you can spray shot like that and bullets just go everywhere. That's literally what they're showing me. He is so angry that he is just shooting bullets everywhere. I mean, bullets, figuratively coming out of his mouth, just raging. And it's like if you're in anywhere near him, you're gonna get hit. That's where he's at right now. So listen, he's gone over that edge. Although God knows there's so many edges he's gone over, I don't know how he's still upright. but he is still he's now he's in a place where he really is spiraling. The other thing that's happening is that he's starting to get um not notification, but he's starting to recognize that members of his own party, they are on the receiving end of this to some degree, right? Because it's like, why aren't you controlling him? Why aren't you stopping this? Why, first of all, why the hell aren't you even in session right now? And so they're starting to hear about it in not very flattering or comforting ways. And so that is also starting to trickle back. And, Pipsqueak Johnson can do whatever he wants and he can stall as long as he wants. But there really does come a point where when your own members start turning against you because now their careers are in jeopardy. Um, six of one, half a dozen. This is literally their mindset. For a long, long time, they were saying, I can't oppose him because he'll crush me. He'll primary me. He'll smear me. I can't win if he's angry with me. And now they're balancing that with I can't win if 70% of my constituency hates me. So they are now in this, I'm talking about senators and the House reps, right? They're now in this place where they recognize that rock and hard place, right? It doesn't matter which way they pivot, they're going to really aggravate somebody. And since the vast majority of Americans believe that the government shutdown is completely and solely the responsibility and the result of Republicans' choices and behaviors. They're not gaining any support there. Um, so you should see over the next little while kind of a cracking, if you will, of some of the defenses around him. And I'm saying that, and I mean sort of the defenses of people, right? The people who stand with, beside, in front of, who allow him to sort of stay in this bubble. You're going to see where that is starting to crack, and his support is going to continue to diminish. And on some level, he's become really, really aware of the fact that the ice that he stands on is getting thinner and thinner. And when I step into his energy, there's also a lot of, I want to use the word frustration with some of the health limitations or discomforts or that are being put on him by his own body, right? He's becoming very, very frustrated by the fact that it's becoming more and more obvious that he's not in this amazing shape and that things are definitely going on with him medically, um, cognitively, perhaps, maybe, definitely, that he feels that they're out of his control. And we know what happens when he feels like things are out of control. And so there's stuff going on there that he's not, how can I say it? It's like he's not willing to think that it applies to him. So, this is an example. And I cast no aspersions because I smoked for years and years and years. But it's like people who smoke and then think that they are never ever going to get lung cancer. It can happen to everybody else, but not them. That seems to be what's going on in his head, right? It's like, well, I don't care if, I'm obese and that puts me at risk for heart attack or stroke or whatever it is. That's not going to happen to me because I'm special. I'm the president. I'm the king of the world. Doesn't everybody know that? It's like sort of like he's hearing things and he's rejecting them, except on a hour by hour basis, he's faced with the realities. I mean, he was complaining the other day about having to stand up and talk to people behind a podium, just plopped himself down at his desk and sort of, slumped back there. And it was like, yeah, carry on. Um, again, so he's in denial and reality, okay? And it's like this huge hug of war that seems to be going on with him. He is mindful of the fact that he is losing support, and that makes him insane. What does he do when he loses support? He becomes more and more outrageous. um I'm recording this on Sunday, okay, so you're going to see it on Monday morning. Tuesday, that book comes out, and it's going to be explosive, and it's going to be almost impossible for him to divert attention. Listen, buckle up because he's going to try. But it really doesn't look as if he's going to be able to change the narrative. Now, on the one hand, that book is going to distract from the fact that the government has been shut down for days and days and days, and they're not even back in session. Um, but this isn't a situation where it's binary and it's either this or this. It's like they're gonna collide. And the frustration and the anger and the shock is going to start really, really branching out through America, through the American people. And they're going to start hearing and seeing things that, man, they don't like. And he will continue to lose support because he's hurting his voters. And he said 100 times he really likes dumb people. He likes stupid people because they'll believe whatever he says. But you know what? At some point, when those stupid people can't put food on the table and they can't afford rent, they're going to be looking at what's being done to them and by whom. And that's not going to bode well for him. So he's in sort of an interesting space right now because he's really angry and he's venting that by putting out stupid things on, to social. You've got this sort of spray of rage that's going on. And yet there seem to be almost moments of stark like clarity where he recognizes that his ship is like sinking and nobody is able to bail out the water fast enough, basically. Even the people who used him as a puppet, whether they are within the United States or outside of the United States, are not just recognizing, but have figured out that they can't control him. He has now gone to a place where he really is uncontrollable. He doesn't think that he's going to be around for 2028 for that next election. So he can talk all he wants, but there is a part of him that recognizes that he is not going to be either here or able to do that. And so again, there's this huge push to, make a name for himself, right? Create a legacy, um, get the stuff done he wants to get done, go after all of his perceived enemies. And that's going to backfire on him because the thing is, and he's starting to feel that backlash, right? Because listen, John Bolton, I got not a whole lot that I can say I agree with John Bolton on, but he's not stupid. Um, you have Letitia James, you have James Comey, and they're up against Bondi. Come on. So th- he's not going to win in that arena simply because this is like pitting, um I don't know, like a big league baseball player against like a peewee team somewhere, right? I mean, the Department of Justice is so out of their depth right now, and they have just a cursory knowledge of law. In fact, I would venture to say most of us guys have a better one. Um, and they're just making mistakes that are making them a laughing stock. And again, when people start to embarrass him, he tends to get a little cranky. And when he gets a little cranky, he starts acting out, he starts firing people, he starts, carrying on, carrying on. Um, Now, that doesn't minimize the fact that he loves to keep, attractive blonde women around him. And there's a lot of whipper smart blonde women in this world, but I'm not exactly sure he attracts them. His energy is extremely low. And we know this, right? He's talking in that sort of very flat monotone. He doesn't have any focus. He's sort of bumbling and stumbling around. There isn't any vitality or fluidity even to the way he's moving. Um, so that's the thing. And like I say, he it's like he looks in the mirror and he sees himself at 40 or 35 or whatever age he thought he was at his peak at. God knows. Um, it's like that's what he sees when he looks in the mirror until he goes to stand or move and it hurts and it aches and he's out of breath and his head's throbbing. And so he's picturing something and it's not matching up anymore with any sort of his reality. Um, That's where he's at right now. I expect in the next week or two, you're going to see some real volatility coming out of him. It's going to be super, super interesting to see what Kathy has to say. I'm really, really looking forward to having that conversation with her. I think that he has entered or is entering a time of um, rapid decline, is what they're saying. And it will be a matter of at what point can even those closest to him no longer prop him up. Like at what point um, do they have to recognize that um, you know there's not any functioning there? So that's kind of where we're at. I just want to take a moment to reiterate, remind you that we often talk about the fact that America is sort of in a fight for its soul, right? You have a country that is incredibly, incredibly divided, and The problem really is that they're divided between truth and illusion. And certainly one of the things that I really want to talk to, um, sorry, my throat's sore. One of the things that I want to talk about on Wednesday is with Kathy is how that impacts people when you have a situation where planetarily you're going from sort of a period of illusion to a period of sort of not only clear-sightedness, but like sort of not aggressive, but forceful or clear-sightedness. I want to see how that's going to impact things going forward because in order for things to significantly shift that balance, there has to be a decrease in people who are still with rose colored glasses and simply believing the illusion, who are starting to shift over to reality. Now, make no mistake, it is happening. You have Trump voters everywhere you look. They're talking about voter remorse. You have people who voted for him and recognize that they are now being directly and personally impacted by the things he said he was going to do that they swore up and down wasn't going to affect them. It was going to be those other ones. Um, so the trend has started that shift, but like all cornered animals, there's going to be some real pushback from them. So you've got that kind of energy going on too. But it becomes more and more important that we keep ourselves focused on reality and we keep ourselves focused on what is real and what is true and what is provable versus um what we want to hear or what makes us feel good because we hear something is failing or not working. We want to make sure that what we're taking in is truth because that then allows us to see the illusion far more clearly. And I think one of the things that I'm wanting to point out right now is as we go forward in the next short period of time, um, the illusions are going to really, really ramp up. And it's important that you don't fall into the trap of hearing something, taking it in, and becoming outraged and furious, only to discover that it was AI generated or the whole thing was just riddled with lies. So, again, this is part of taking care of yourself. Um, Lots and lots of people out there have opinions. That's not the same as facts. So be mindful that the illusions, the nonsense is going to ramp up. You're going to be getting hit in the face with it. And you need to make sure that you are able to maintain your equilibrium. I'm going to say this again. I have said it multiple times and I will continue to say it. If you can't be positive and you're sliding towards negativity, find benign. Find that middle where you at least are not putting out your own negative and volatile reactions to things that are just pissing you off and making you crazy. Okay, it's really important that you continue to maintain it's not just your sanity, but your clarity and your calmness because at some point, you know, those rose-colored glasses are gonna fall off of enough people that there's going to be such a strong resistance that things are going to get a little hairy, but the resistance is, good resistance, right? Okay. Um, so yeah, he's not in good shape and he's cranky. And yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, thank you for being here. Again, tune in on Wednesday. I think it's going to be fascinating. She's always incredibly interesting and has amazing things to tell us. She keeps sort of a running list, if you will, of the things that are going on in the world that she can directly relate to astrological influences. So check out her channel. Um, if you if you haven't already, I'm just trying to make sure I get the name right. Professional Aquarian. Um, okay, I'm out of here. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye for now.